Hey everybody, how are you doing? Sorry, I know I was a little bit behind starting this thing up. I had all those streaming issues last week, and I was trying to avoid that happening this week. I'm keeping an eye on it. Hopefully we won't be doing all the, we won't be doing the buffering dance. Hey, hey. Another really quick thing. This is sort of like a little bit of catching up and a little bit of house cleaning before I really jump into all this. I've got a new microphone set up. It's right here, as you can see, but I wanted to take just a second and make sure everything sounds okay, because the new setup has it connected to my desk, and there's some hard drives on my desk, and sometimes that like vibration can get into the microphone. So I'm keeping an eye on the live chat. You guys let me know if there's like a lot of noise. I'll figure something out. I might have to move some things around real quick, but I just want to make sure that there's not like a big buzzing sound going on, because I did notice that the other day when I was messing with this. So anyway, all that aside, hope everybody's doing well. Looks like we got a good crowd going on. Man, you guys are some hard cases. I took a few extra minutes to make sure that my setup was working all right, and everybody's like, "Where are you? It's been 2 minutes." My God, calm down, people. All right, so we do have some stories to talk about today. So let's just jump right into it, and I'll take some time to answer questions at the end, assuming technical issues are worked out. Everybody says it sounds good, looking good, sounds good. You hear an air conditioner? I'm leaving the air conditioner on, yo. It's 100 degrees out there. I'm not messing around with that. Okay, sorry. Okay, so let's jump into the news. The noose. Boom. So there is an announcement coming tomorrow from NASA about Curiosity on Mars. I got some Mars announcements coming up. Now, look, I know I'm kind of a big deal, but I'm not such a big deal that NASA shares information with me. So I don't have anything in front of me that you guys don't have. This is all wild speculation as to what this could be. All I'll say is, and this is just me, feel free to disagree with me if you want, but I don't get too excited when NASA makes these Mars announcements anymore, because there's something about Mars that when there's some kind of news that comes up about it, people get really excited. They kind of jump to, ooh, this could be some big, huge thing. And it's usually some pretty mundane piece of data that they ran across that sometimes provides some new information we didn't have before. Sometimes it confirms some theories that we thought were there. Every once in a while, there was that one that they found liquid water. It's actually more of a saline solution on Mars. Usually it's not as exciting as we think it's going to be. So my excitement is tempered, although it's always cool. I mean, NASA, they don't do a press conference for no reason, you know. So there's something interesting coming up, and I look forward to hearing what it'll be. They're going to live stream it tomorrow on their YouTube channel. I'm not going to live stream it, so I'll be watching it along with you guys, assuming I'll be available. But I mean, as far as speculation goes, I know that they had some problems with the drill on Curiosity, and they got that drill fixed. They got that situation fixed just, gosh, a few weeks ago, I want to say. It was pretty recent. So maybe they got that drill working again, and they found something interesting from that. It might just be a press conference saying, hey, we got the drill working again, and that they have some kind of results from it. I don't know. It could be that they found new evidence of water ice underneath the surface. I know that, I mean, the filter that I'm putting this through is that, you know, NASA, they want to explore Mars. There's you know, they are preparing and laying the groundwork for manned missions, maybe in the 2030s, something like that. So, by the way, I think the 2030s are going to be a really interesting time if everything that's being predicted comes up. I'm not spoiling anything, but the video for Monday that I'm working on has something really amazing coming up, and everybody's predicting the 2030s for that as well. So the 2030s are going to be an interesting time. I mean, we're in interesting times now anyway. But anyway, tangent. So NASA, you know, they're working on, they're laying the groundwork for manned missions up there, and they're really looking for things that they can use for in situ resource utilization, and that means water, that means fuel. So maybe they got the drill working, they looked into some rocks, found some stuff we can use. That would be interesting. I know they're also always looking for any signs of life, past or present there. It's very unlikely that there's any present life there, but if they happen to be, and I don't know if this is true, I'm totally speculating. I don't know if they are in a place where somebody out there may know, actually, in the live stream or in the live chat. Please do fill us in. But I don't know if they're in a place right now, if Curiosity is in a place right now where there once was water on Mars, because there are areas where there used to be water. It could be that they drilled and they found evidence of organic compounds from way back in the day, which could indicate that there was life or proto-life of some kind on Mars way back when. So it could be something like that. Again, I'm just wildly speculating. We don't know. But it's going to be interesting. I'll be checking it out tomorrow. And, you know, I really... NASA, help me out. You know, why do you have to do these on a Thursday? You know I do my Wednesday live streams. Why would you do that on Thursday where I can't talk? Why are you doing this to me? What have I done to you, NASA? Maybe I talk about SpaceX too much. I'm kidding, guys. I'm just kidding. Okay. I whispered. That was my ASMR moment there. Coffee. Never go without coffee. Yes, it's 2:30 in the afternoon. I'm still drinking coffee. I don't care. So, that is the NARS. That's the Mars announcement. What's next on the agenda here? And I'm going to struggle with this one, guys. I'm just being honest. This is some heavy stuff. Sterile neutrinos. So I've got a whole lot of notes here. I'm just going to kind of go through this and tell you what I know as I know it. By the way, that is not the best place to... There we go. Now you can see the headline. Headlines are good. So, sterile neutrinos. This was something that came up the other day. A lot of headlines were talking about it. And really the only reason I'm talking about this is because I had a lot of people ask me about it on Twitter and other places. Again, I know many of you are probably a bit more educated in this sort of thing than I am. Keep me honest in the live chat or in the comments if you're watching this later. But here's what we know. So neutrinos, in case you don't know what neutrinos are, they are part of the standard model of particle physics. They very weakly interact with matter. There's this thing that I keep hearing everywhere I go. I don't know who first came up with this, but everyone's stealing it, and I guess I am now, is that there's literally billions of neutrinos streaming through your thumbnail right now. Why they picked the thumbnail for this little analogy, I don't know, but everybody uses it. But it gives you an idea, and those are all coming from the sun. Neutrinos are a part of the fusion process that powers the sun. It flings those out. So they're all over the place, billions of them in every square centimeter of the universe, and most of them barely interact with matter at all. But they do react through the weak force and through gravity, very tiny. So there was actually, I believe, the Nobel Prize. I did a video about this a while back. It's been a while, maybe a year or two, that the Nobel Prize that year went out to some researchers that found out or realized that neutrinos have mass. It was thought that they didn't have mass, that they were kind of like photons, and they didn't have mass. But they determined that they did have mass, and the reason why is because they come in three, they call them flavors. It's muon, tau, and electron. Those are the three flavors of neutrino. There are also antineutrinos. That's a whole other thing. But it was determined that neutrinos oscillate between these flavors as they're traveling through the universe and through your thumb. I don't think it's your thumb that makes them oscillate necessarily. They're so big on the thumbnail thing. But anyway, so they oscillate between these flavors, muon, tau, and electron. And in order to oscillate, it requires mass. So the reason it was a big deal and the reason they got the Nobel Prize for that was because they were able to prove that neutrinos have mass. And it was speculated, and I was part of that speculation at the time, that possibly it could be an explanation for dark matter because there's so many neutrinos out there. It's just such a, again, billions of them through your thumbnail that's just pervasive throughout the universe that if they had even the tiniest amount of mass, that it could be an explanation for missing mass, you know, in the universe, which is what basically dark matter is. So that, by the way, total speculation. It was just something that I remember I was talking about in that video. But anyway, so in the mid-1990s, there was a project, an experiment called the Liquid Scintillator Neutrino Detector, or LSND, that was at Los Alamos in New Mexico. They found evidence of what they call sterile neutrinos. What that basically means, sterile neutrinos, they don't interact with matter at all. So whereas regular neutrinos barely interact with matter, sterile neutrinos don't react in any way. And it was sort of a theoretical thing, and then they found evidence for it in the 90s, but it was not replicated. Nobody was able to replicate that anywhere. So as you do in science, if you can't replicate it, it's kind of like, yeah, okay. So anyway, the big news is, the story was, they were able to replicate this again at this experiment called, it's called Mini Boon. I'm just gonna say Mini Boon. I don't know how it's supposed to be pronounced, but it's like M-I-N-I and then uppercase B, O-O, uppercase N-E. I would put it up. Maybe it's, anyway, these are all, by the way, as always, linked down in the description if you want to go deeper and further into this, because again, I'm always just kind of like giving you the top layer of the information here. But anyway, so this is at Fermilab near Chicago, and they found new evidence of this, possibly. And so what they both do, I think both of these different experiments work this way, is they fire neutrinos at a detector, and what's happening is, one of them uses oil and the other one uses water as a way to keep radiation out of it. But anyway, so they fire neutrinos at a detector in this experiment, and what's happening is the detector is picking up more neutrinos than the standard model would suggest. So they're detecting more than should be there according to the standard model. So this breaks some of the rules of the standard model as we know it. So what they're suggesting is that maybe as they oscillate, as I was saying, they oscillate between these different flavors, they could possibly be oscillating also into this sterile type of neutrino, this heavier sterile neutrino that the detector can't detect, and then it flips back. So basically they're suggesting that maybe these things sort of like flip into this non-reactive sterile environment or state and then flip back, which would be proof of sterile neutrinos. So the reason why this was significant, in science they have something called a sigma, I don't know how to explain it, but basically this had a standard deviation of 4.8 sigma is what they say. 5 sigma is the point where science generally says, okay, this is significant, this is real. Because that's basically, where is it? It's a 1 in 3.5 million chance of being random fluctuations in the data. So basically, if you're at 5 sigma, it's 1 in 3.5 million that it's wrong. So, so that's significant. And what they're saying is that if they combine that with the LSND experiment back in the 90s, that would make it a 6.1 sigma. 500 million to 1 are the odds of it being random at that. But this is in dispute. Some scientists are still skeptical about this and are disputing it. Now, there's a couple of other neutrino observatories, some really big ones. One is called the Ice Cube Neutrino Observatory, not named after the rapper, but that would be cool. This is in Antarctica. There's another one called the Oscillation Project with Emulsion Tracking Apparatus in Switzerland. Boy, that's a mouthful. So these are both big neutrino detecting experiments, and they are not detecting this. They have tried to replicate, I'm getting a phone call, of course. They're trying to replicate this, this outcome, and they're not replicating it. So basically, we have 2 different experiments that have gotten this result. Other experiments are not showing the same result. So what this really is only doing is kind of complicating the picture. Obviously, a lot more experimenting is going to have to be done to prove it definitively. And then, of course, we have to understand exactly how sterile neutrinos work, what it all means, how does that affect the standard model, because that definitely goes against what we should be seeing according to this thing that we use to define the universe as we know it. So anytime you have something that kind of really slams up against something like the standard model, it's big news. So that's what happened here, and more to come. There's still a lot to figure out in the future on this. So last but not least, we all remember the New Horizons spacecraft that went to Pluto a few years ago. Gosh, has it already been a few years ago? It's been asleep. It's been in hibernation mode for about 6 months because it's just flying through space and there's nothing there right now to take a look at. But part of its mission was going to be, it was going to hit Pluto, obviously. Took some mind-blowing photographs, gave us this whole new look of Pluto that we had never seen before. Pluto was basically a blob in the sky before New Horizons got out there. But anyway, so it was going to go to Pluto, and then it was going to go through the Kuiper Belt, look at some interesting objects in the Kuiper Belt, And so basically it's about to start its Kuiper Belt run. So it woke up on June 4th at, I believe, 10 in the morning, like I'd usually do. But so what it's basically, its next job, what it's going to do next is going to fly past this small Kuiper Belt object called the Ultima Thule, or Thule? I'm going to say Thule. So it's actually not going to get there until New Year's Day of 2019. So what I'm suspecting here is that they're going to take a little bit of time to warm up the instruments and make sure everything is in order. You know, being put in hibernation in negative 240 degree Celsius temperatures out in the middle of space, probably not the easiest thing to wake up from. So New Horizons is waking up from that. It's going to hit this Ultima Thule Kuiper Belt object that they think may possibly be two objects orbiting around each other. What is interesting about this, I thought, is that it's been in this particular orbit, which is 6.5 billion kilometers away, for most of the 4.6 billion year history of the solar system. So basically, solar system, 4.6 billion years old. This thing's been out there in the Kuiper Belt this whole time, which means it's the most primitive body ever studied by a spacecraft. So that is significant. That, I think, is super cool. So they're going to be able to go out and take some good pictures. I mean, the stuff that we saw of Pluto, those magnificent photos that it took of Pluto, it's going to be taking this of an object that is as old as the solar system and has not been, let's just say, subjected to the pressures and the environment of the inner solar system. It's been out there on the edge of the solar system this whole time. And it'll be interesting to see what that looks like and what they find. So New Horizons coming back to life, and that's exciting. I think that's one of the most awesome spacecrafts that we've put out there. First of all, it's traveling faster than anything we've ever put out there, and the pictures it took of Pluto were just unreal. It was amazing. So I'm happy to see New Horizons back in action, and I look forward to what it has to show us. So, all right, guys, those are the news stories for the day. I could talk a little bit about, Tesla had their shareholders meeting yesterday. I've only read one article about it, to be honest. I know Ben over at Teslanomics, he live streamed the whole thing, so if you really want to know what went on there, you can go to him. I think I've been talking about Tesla a little bit too much lately, though, so I think I'll cool it. Let me get back to my big window here. There we go. So, yeah, I'll jump into the live stream, have a little sip of coffee real quick, and if you guys have questions, I'll stick around and answer them for a minute. I know I was late, so I'll stick around just a little bit more. All right, we in the live chat. What do you guys have here? John Richards asked if I like Joe's ice cream. I don't know. Was that to me or to other people? Are you like talking about my ice cream? What? Are you talking about how pale I am? Look, I know I'm pale. Come on, man. Anyway, so Chanan Boss wants me to talk more about Tesla. I'm sure I will. Let's see. Yes, Pezzer says, Joe always arrives exactly when he intends. This is true. Someone tell my wife that. She'll have a ball with that one. Luke Hullen, have I heard about LapG, the next space station that should be between the Earth and the Moon? I have. Curious Droid did a great video about that. I don't know if you guys follow Curious Droid. I do. So I could be wrong about this, but I know that the Mars Gateway, or the Deep Space Gateway that NASA was building, was supposed to be orbiting around the Moon. I have to say I agree with this strategy of setting up basically a waypoint at the Moon for traveling to the rest of the solar system. That's what the Deep Space Gateway was supposed to be, and I think LapG is kind of taking that over, or that's like the new plan. I have heard about it. I don't know much more about the plans and how things are coming along with that, so I might have to do a video about that. That would be a good subject for a video. Felix von Richtenhofen, any new collabs? Nothing on the books just yet. I got some I'm working on. It's funny, the people that my channel kind of came up with we're all kind of in this place now where we have to get more organized, and we're scheduling out way in advance our videos, and so it's getting more difficult to collaborate with those guys because we have to plan so far out in advance. So I am talking to a few people, and we'll see. Mike says, my skin looks fantastic. Thank you, Mike. It's the camera. It's mostly the camera. If you saw me in real life, I'm patchy. I'm scaly. I'm a lizard person. I'm one of those Alex Jones lizard people. The British Unknown. Let's see. Hey, Joe, what would your opinion be on how you think SpaceX are going to launch BFR due to noise restrictions? Is sea launch viable? And love the content. Cool. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. And somebody else was talking about that. I think Everyday Astronaut, Tim, was talking about that. You know, they show that point-to-point, Earth point-to-point BFR video, talking about getting from New York to Hong Kong in 30 minutes or something like that. That's a beautiful idea. But as Tim will tell you, if you go to any of their launches, even the Falcon 9, which is a fraction the size of what the BFR is going to be, I mean, you got to stand, 2-3 miles away, and it's still rattling your chest. So the idea that, as they showed in those videos, it's just like out on a dock, like right next to New York City or something. Yeah, no, that's not going to be the case. It's going to have to be like way out in the middle of nowhere, or else, I mean, they would be breaking windows. They would be shattering windows all over town every time they launch. So. I'm not saying they're not going to do it. I'm just saying that image that they put out in the video of it just kind of like being right out on a dock somewhere, it's a beautiful idea. Not going to happen. But that's a good question. Thank you for that. Yes, do a video on LapG. Okay, I'll take a look at that. How will all the eruptions affect global warming, is what Martin Clark is asking. Good question. Volcano eruptions occur fairly frequently. I'm kind of talking out of my ass right now. I'm just being honest because this isn't something I'm like an expert in or anything. But my understanding is that volcanic eruptions like we're seeing right now, like there was the one in Guatemala, Hawaii's been going off again. They do kind of come in fits and starts, but those are pretty small potatoes compared to the ones that have really affected our climate in the past, like the super volcanoes and stuff. So I mean, it might affect it in a small way. It's not going to help, but I'm not worried it's going to like make anything spiral out of control or anything like that. Just my opinion. Let's see. Opinion on Fortnite. Never played it. Sorry. I'm being asked. Killian Handel. Killian Handel. That's a great name. Are me and the Everyday Astronaut going to do a collaboration anytime soon? Nothing's planned, but I would totally do something with Tim. I would love to go meet up with Tim at a launch sometime. That would be awesome. Would love that. James Williams, thank you. It says, no question, just buy yourself a beer on me. Thanks for all the great videos. They're amazing. Thank you for that. I will take you up on the burr. Although I'm more of a cider guy, honestly. I never had a taste for beer. I just never developed it. I like my whiskey. I like cider. I like wine. Never really had the beer gene. But thank you for that. I'll buy a cider or something else. Let's see. When will the BFR launch? I get asked that all the time, and I don't know. I mean, they're supposed to be testing at the end of the year. Some of the, especially the second stage. I know they're going to start doing some like grasshopper hop tests with it. So I mean, they're saying 2022, 2023, something like that. Maybe 2021 if we're lucky. We'll see. So Paul Lufel asks, is Falcon Block 5 really going to be a game changer with only 4 reuses? I thought it was going to be 10 reuses. That was my understanding, or that's what they're going for. Maybe they've gone down to 4. I don't know. That might be news to me. Space-like. Do I like Marvel? I like to marvel at things. Yeah, I've been enjoying Marvel stuff. I have to say, I mean, not to go down too much of a rabbit hole here, so I saw Solo, and there's a lot of talk right now about can Star Wars do what Marvel is doing? And it's, sorry, I shouldn't have gotten started talking about this because I am sort of a movie guy, and that's not really relevant, I can't talk, to this channel. But No, there's a lot to talk about. So, like, Marvel has this backlog of hundreds of, well, maybe even thousands of comic books and stories with all these different characters throughout the years. But Star Wars kind of has this set timeline. And so I'll be honest, I liked Solo as a movie. It was good. It was fun. But I walked out just kind of being like, eh. And I think it's because there weren't really any stakes. I mean, you know Han Solo's going to survive. You know Chewie's going to survive. You kind of know where everything's going to go. There's not really any suspense there. And I think maybe that's one of the problems with Star Wars trying to emulate Marvel. I think Kevin Feige, who took over Marvel and has kind of constructed this whole Marvel Cinematic Universe thing, I think he's an absolute genius. The way they constructed all these different characters and brought them all together, and they make these movies with 15 protagonists, and you think there's no way that's going to work, and then somehow they make it work. But he's done a fantastic job with that. So you asked me about Marvel. There's my answer. I kind of went off on a tangent. Sorry about that. Thoughts on Westworld? I need to catch up, man. I haven't watched any of the second season yet. I've been so busy with all this. I haven't seen any of it. I love the first season, though. I thought it was great. Stephanie says, spoiler alert. Did you think Han Solo was going to die in Solo? Not going to happen. Anyway, let's see. Have I read or played any of the Old Republic? No. I'm not a gamer, guys. I literally don't even have a gaming system to play games on. I play little stuff on my phone. That's about it. Will SpaceX ever build manned Mars rovers? Asks Martian Lemon. Martian Lemon. I haven't heard about any plans for it. I'm going to guess they're going to need some mode of transportation once they get there on the ground. I don't know if SpaceX would build it themselves or they might contract that out. I mean, there's plenty of other players out there to do that. My understanding is that Elon was like, I'm going to basically get people there, and then what happens once we get there is kind of up to other people. So he's basically trying to be the Greyhound bus of Mars in a way. So my speculation right now, and it's purely speculation, is that they would just contract that out. They would have somebody else bring that kind of stuff. Glenn Restvet says he's over Star Wars and he's sorry. No need to be sorry. I get it. I worry that they're putting out. I mean, Star Wars used to be an event, and now it's like, I mean, The Last Jedi just came out on video, and the new movie's already coming out. It's not the same. Dan Goodall is asking, sleep science? What about it? Sleep science? Or are you asking if I've slept since something? I've not slept much lately. Stephanie's asking what color I'll pick when I get my Tesla. Probably the midnight silver is what they call it. That sort of dark gray. That's the color I have in my car now. I like it. Let's see. So Space Gamer X is saying NASA's already made rovers for Mars. Okay, well maybe they'll just take those. So, and by the way, all the videos that I've seen about Mars, and I think I included one of them in this last week's video from NASA. Like the rovers aren't like what you saw on the moon. They're these like bubbles. they're enclosed habitats basically. Now what you're talking about might be different. I don't know. I'm just talking about what I've seen in the videos that I've seen. The idea is that basically so that astronauts don't have to have their suit on because when they're out in an EVA, they can just kind of like connect the rover with an airlock to the habitation module and just kind of climb back and forth and then seal it up. But it looks like it almost looks like I don't know, like a petrol tank or something like that. But instead, it's got windows and it's a rover, so it's pressurized and stuff. What else we got here? Spacelight, could you tell my LA teacher what we are doing in her class is useless? Your LA teacher, I don't know what that means. And I wouldn't say, like, my wife's a teacher, both my parents are teachers, I have mad respect for teachers. I don't think what they do is useless by any stretch. Louis Genius is asking if I have any tech stocks. Tesla is up 9 point. Yeah, I'm not very invested in things right now. Maybe in the future when I can afford to, but I can't really right now. Have I heard of Fraser Kane from Universe Today? Is what MCN05007 I am a robot asked me. Yeah, of course I've heard of him. I did a collaboration with him a while back. He's a good guy. So, can I do a show about the great unconformity from Can't Stand Fake? I'll try not to be fake. I will not be fake with you and say I don't know what that is. I think it's very important to tell people when you don't know something. There's a lot of let me wax philosophical instead of answering your question. I don't know what the great unconformity is. I'll have to look that up. But there are some people, and I'm not going to call out any names because it's not about that, but there are people who are like YouTube experts that I don't trust. And the reason why I don't trust them is because they never say I don't know. Anytime somebody asks them a question, it's like, well, blah, 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 and they always have an answer. And at a certain point, I have to be like, you can't know everything. At some point, somebody is asking you a question and you're giving them an answer just because you think that they want an answer from you, or you're trying to show your expertise in some way. I would much rather, I hope you guys appreciate this, by the way. I'm kind of revealing something about myself here. I hope that you guys appreciate that when I don't know something, I say, dude, I don't know. I'm learning this along with you guys, because I don't want to, if I never say that I don't know something, to me anyway, I don't trust that. If somebody says if somebody never says they don't know something, I don't trust that. If somebody says I don't know something, my dog is stirring. I trust somebody who says I don't know every once in a while, because that means to me that when they do answer it, they do know, and they're not just making something up. I hope you guys appreciate that about me, because I try to be honest with you about that. All right, so Dean Kohler asked my thoughts on the Black Knight satellite. I saw that flyby earlier. I'm assuming you asked that one as well. Yeah, so that's a little bit of a touchy subject, because it gets, like everything, if it's not understood, if somebody doesn't know what it is, it goes immediately into crazy conspiracy territory. I am not a conspiracy guy. For those who don't know, the Black Knight satellite, and I'm not going to claim again to be an expert on this, but there were some pictures that came up of an unidentified object in space by some of our own satellites, and it became known as the Black Knight satellite. Some assumed it was alien. My assumption is that it's just some kind of space debris, because there's tons of it out there. In fact, it seems like I read something that it was determined to be what's it called? Like a flashing, like an insulation, basically, on a satellite that fell off a long time ago. That was my understanding of what the Black Knight satellite was. And Sephirin seems to agree with me. So, Ethan's telling me, serious question, big dogs or little dogs? So I'm going to quote Ron Swanson. This is not true for me, by the way, because I've got one of each. I've got about a 70-pound pit bull, and I've got a 20-pound French bulldog, and they love each other and they play with each other and they're awesome. But no, Ron Swanson in Parks and Rec at one point, he said, he was answering a phone question. I'm going to murder this. He was answering a phone call, and he said, "Get rid of the dog. Any dog under 20 pounds is a cat, and cats are useless." You can't go wrong quoting Ron Swanson, so I'm just going to go with that. Dr. Anumpadubi. No, I murdered that. Am I on Twitter? Yeah, I'm on Twitter. At Answers with Joe on there. Illuminati confirms his holy driver. Yes, I'm Illuminati. I could be nice or naughty. Spacelike says he's learning Python. Do I think it'll be useful? Yeah, I think any computer programming is useful, because I've not been good at that. I've been asked what kind of pit bull I have. Well, he's a mix. He's right here. Let me see if I can get him on camera. Should I get my dog on camera? You've seen the other one. Hey, Jake, come here, buddy. Can you jump up? Can you jump up? He's really old. He's like 11 years old, and his knees are hurting him. He's actually on tramadol. You want to hop up? Jump up. Yeah, drool on me some more. There you go. All right. Can you see him? Look in the camera. Look over there. Look over there, buddy. Look at there he is. It's dog time. So this is Jake. Jake is a pity mix, and he's a good boy. And you stink. Why do you stink? Maybe it's because I don't bathe you enough. Okay, can you get down? I gotta finish the show. I gotta finish the show, buddy. My people need me. There you go. All right, good boy. Okay. All right, sorry about that. Yep, doggos. Got to bring out the doggos. Oh, it's just now catching up. Let's see. Everybody's commenting on the doggo now. I'm going to answer just a couple more questions. It's been going about 35 minutes, and then we'll get on with our lives. Okay, so Jarrett Bullion, Nerdist Musquatch disowning Elon. I don't know. They do that? I haven't watched any of their. I haven't watched them lately. I need to go catch up. They're funny though. They're funny guys. I actually tweeted at oh, what's his name? The guy with the long hair. I'm blanking right now. It's terrible. I tweeted at him one time and I was like, exactly how much cocaine do you guys do before your shows? Because they're so crazy. Sir Alexander, do I have a life? I do not. Guys, I've actually, so I'm oversharing here. I have been up until 3 in the morning for at least the last 4 days in a row. I'm trying to get caught up on things because summer's coming up. My wife, being a teacher, that's the only time she has any freedom. So, you know, we do have a couple of trips planned just to see family, nothing big. But I'm trying to get ahead on things. And usually my videos wind up getting thrown together at the last minute. So, yeah, I've got my head down and I'm just like pounding out videos as fast as I possibly can. Hopefully the quality is not going to go down. But so no, I don't have much of a life at all. I've just been cranking. I've just been cranking hard lately. A couple tips came in. Thanks, guys. KPD Warroman. I can't say that. I don't even know what that's. But thank you for that. A very nice tip. $10. I appreciate that. Harrison Jacobson. How old were you when I started really getting into the sciences? In my mid-30s. I feel like I'm getting in late. And just real quick, the one right below it asked if I'd seen the show The Expanse. Because of you guys, sorry, Harrison, I'll get to your question. Because of you guys, yes, I finally started watching The Expanse just the other day. Again, I don't have a whole lot of free time right now, but so many people have told me to watch it, especially after Monday's video about Mars evolution. Everybody's like, oh my God. Actually, a lot of people were like, clearly this guy's been watching The Expanse. And I'm like, okay. But no, I just started watching. I've only seen the first couple episodes. Looks promising. I like that it's like for real science. Like it's that they like play with the gravity in the right way and everything. That's nice. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Harrison. How old was I when I really started getting into sciences? I don't know. So like the story of this channel that I always say is that it didn't set out to be. It didn't set out to be a science channel. It set out to be more of a comedy channel. It was like something that I could do to sort of flex my comedy muscles. I wanted to do stand-up, but the whole stand-up lifestyle was just really difficult. So I was like, I could do this online. And that's kind of where I took it. And then because I did a science-y video and that became popular, I just kind of went in that direction. Anyway, that's the whole story of the channel. But what's congruent, circular, I don't know what the right word might be here, is that I wanted to be an astronaut so bad when I was a kid. Like that was all I wanted to be when I was young. And I remember the shuttle disaster, the Challenger disaster. A lot of people would think that would be what discouraged me from wanting to be an astronaut. It actually didn't. What discouraged me was when I got into high school, I was told that in order to be an astronaut, you have to be really good at math. I don't know who said this, but they may have ruined my life because I have never been good at math. It's just I don't have the genes, or maybe I just had bad teachers. I don't know. Math was just never my subject. I was always more of a creative guy, right? As you can see. But when I was told that I had to be really good at math, I was like, well, F that. I'm not going to be an astronaut then. There's no way. And so I kind of, you know, I don't want to say I gave up on a dream, but I'll just say that, I mean, again, you know, a lot of kids want to be firefighters when they're kids, and then they grow up and decide to be something else. It was the same kind of deal. I wanted to be an astronaut so bad when I was a kid. So to ask when I got into the sciences, I suppose I've always been into it on some level. I always had like a photo or a poster of Einstein on my wall. I had a space shuttle poster on my wall. I was always into that kind of thing. But I didn't go in that direction because I guess if I were to weigh, oh my God, I'm about to say something really stupid. Okay, if I were to weigh my nerd science side and my creative artsy side, it would be like this. I mean, the artsy side, the creative side would be like just above it a little bit. So that's kind of where I went, and I'm fine with that. That's great. But I think what you're really getting at here is you're saying you're in your mid-30s, you feel like you're getting in late, and I don't know your story. I don't know if you're like really trying to make a career in it. But look, I'll tell you, like I get a little bit of flack here and there from people that I run a YouTube channel that talks about science, and yet I am not a scientist. And again, going back to that whole me telling you when I don't know something, I try to be as upfront, honest, and transparent about that as possible. But I do think, not to inflate my ego or anything here, but I do think that what I do is pretty important. And not just me, but you know, Everyday Astronaut, Curious Droid, Fraser Cain, or Isaac Arthur, all these guys. I think it's important because I get comments and emails every once in a while from people that are like saying that they were never interested in science and never thought it was, they always thought it was boring until... Again, I know it sounds like I'm inflating my own ego here, but they said that my channel, watching my videos, triggered an interest in science with them, and they decided to go in that direction. And that means a lot to me, man. Like that's really moving to me, to think that I could be inspiring somebody in some way to do something that might change the world. Possibly, who knows? But I'm just gonna say, like, and I know people disagree with this, but I don't think you have to be a scientist to progress science. You know, I think we all have. Who was it that was saying this? We all have a superpower. I think Ben at Teslanomics was saying this. We all have a superpower in some way, and if you could channel whatever it is you're naturally good at toward whatever it is that you're interested in, then that's where you can make a difference. So if you're in your mid-30s, and again, I don't know your story, maybe you're going back to school, maybe you're trying to get a master's or a PhD, or maybe you're trying to get a career in some way. I think it's never too late, honestly. You know, there's a bit of a stigma that you might run into, especially when you're trying to get entry-level jobs in any kind of arrangement. If you're a bit older, you might run into a little bit of hesitation there. But I still think that enthusiasm and work ethic will always win out. That's a little pie in the sky, I know, but mid-30s, nah, you're not too late, man. Go for it. Do your thing. What I started to say a second ago, and I'm just going to end on this. I know this is kind of random, but so at my last job, I worked at a newspaper for a long time. They did this thing, and they do these like mandatory, let's all get together and do a team building exercise, and you're just like, oh God, seriously. So it was one of those things, and I went into it like, this is so stupid. I walked out of it though thinking it was pretty interesting, and there's a lot of different variations of this. It's sort of like a personality test, the whole what do they call it, INFJ, that whole thing. God, I'm blanking on the name today, but anyway, this was called True Colors. Everything, by the way, everything about this sounds cheesy as hell. I know this, okay? But it basically put people into 4 different colors. And that was, let's see, it was gold, which was actually yellow, but yellow has a negative connotation. So it was gold, orange, blue, and green. And to just go through it really quickly. So gold people were basically like super organized, maybe a little bit OCD. Orange people were very impulsive, very alpha, outgoing, headstrong, get it done right now kind of people. Green people were very analytical, very scientific minded, and blue people were very emotional and creative. So that was just like, these are broad categories that you would fall into, and nobody was like any one specific color. You're all like a mix of colors, right? And the only reason I bring all this up is because when I was talking about my science side and my analytical, or my science side and my creative side being so close together, it made me think about this, because when I took mine, everybody took this test and it kind of told you what you were, and the point of it was to help people to interact with each other, because it's like if you're dealing with somebody who's an orange, then you kind of have to know what motivates them, and here's how you can work with them and back and forth. Anyway, it was more interesting than I thought it would be. But I came up literally 1 point. It was 1 point green over blue, or was it the other way around? No, it was 1 point blue over green. So my emotional creative side was literally 1 point above my rational analytical side, and I thought that was interesting, and it felt good to me because, again, according to this whole theory, those were like complementary colors. Like those were on the opposite, not on an actual color wheel, but those were on the opposite sides of the spectrum, like the analytical and the emotional, you know? And then on the other side, there's like planning and OCD and organized, and then the headstrong, impulsive. So those are like opposites, right? And they were basically saying that if you're a combination of those two opposites, then you're kind of a well-balanced person. That was what they said. And if you are kind of on both extremes of one of the, anyway. So I'm apparently a very well-balanced person, so they say, according to that thing. I'll go with it. It said what I wanted to hear, so yeah, let's go with that. So I'm gonna shut this down, but I see right here Michael Durio asked if I'll do some in the field videos. I do want to do more of those. I need to get out from this little set here at some point. It's just, again, right now my head's just down. I'm just trying to get the content out and get ahead on things, but that is definitely in the works. It's definitely a plan of mine throughout this year. So, all right, guys. Obviously, I could keep going forever, and you guys know I would do that if I could, but I got to get back to cranking out this stuff, and you guys have lives. So let's wrap this up. I want to thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you're watching this after the fact, and you have anything to add to the stories that I was talking about here, again, I'm kind of always giving an upper level view of these. Please do, and keep me honest, and share down below, and you guys talk amongst yourselves. Also, if you happen to be watching this and you're not familiar with this channel, this is not normally what I do. This is just my Wednesday videos. I also have Thursday videos that are on random topics, Monday videos on more science-related stuff, and I invite you to subscribe and check it out. So with that, I'm going to leave you guys. I hope you're doing well. Have a great Wednesday. I do have a video coming out tomorrow on a fun topic, so keep your eye out for that. And in the meantime, I'll catch you guys later. All right. Love you guys. Take care.